I just thought of something that tent campers can't do. They can't just sit down in their tent. They have to crawl down on the ground like an animal. And when they get bored, they can't do this. Whee! Hey, I'm Don, also known as Moto Giant. If you've been following along with my low-budget motorcycle camping adventure for the last few months, you would know that I have been living and working off of my motorcycle, riding across America, and it's been quite an adventure. I did a similar journey a couple years back for 2 months and decided that I could do it. At that time, I was carrying a hammock and a tent, and I wanted to eliminate the tent. So I reached out to the guys at Haven, and they hooked me up with an XL. This is actually the Safari. This is what I've been living in since May, and it's the end of September now. And the reason I feel like I've been so successful on this journey is that I've had a very comfortable sleep system like the Safari. Haven Safari, it's a lay flat hammock. If you're one of those people like I was several years back that thought I could never sleep in a hammock because I don't sleep on my back. I can't sleep on my back. I'm a side sleeper and sometimes a stomach sleeper, but I can't sleep on my back unless I'm heavily medicated. So I avoided hammocks for years and missed out on the opportunity to get a good night's sleep. And most importantly for me is the ability to sleep anywhere I damn well please, as long as there's a couple of trees around. And right here is a pretty good example. This is a pretty decent slope. It would probably be fairly uncomfortable in a tent. But more importantly for me, there's not a lot of flat, empty space where I camp. And to have to find something like that typically means I have to find a campground that's not fully occupied, that I have to pay $30 a night for the pleasure of sleeping on the ground. So that's kind of why I transitioned to hammocks in the first place. But I've also been a huge advocate for hammocks in general since then, because it allows me the freedom to camp anywhere there's trees. The difference between hammocks and the lay flat Safari XL and the regular Haven hammock tent is that you have both. If you don't have trees, you can put this thing on the ground. So it opens up a lot of territory that you can camp potentially. Deserts, tundra, things that, places that you typically don't see trees, and there are. And I've used this a couple of times already on the ground. And it's just as comfortable as a tent on the ground, I would say. Comes with a air pad and a mattress that you blow up. So if you have to sleep on the ground, it's got a waterproof bottom. It's got all those things that you see in a tent. It's smaller and more compact than most tents. Very durable, very well built. And the big thing for me though is it's a hammock, and this is what I look for. This is the only thing I look for, is an open space that I can get my motorcycle into, and 2 trees that I can hang in between. Main thing for me is I don't like getting up and down off the ground. It's, it almost killed my adventures because, I'm almost 60, and it got to the point where I'm old and I'm tired. I feel like I'm better than getting up and down off the ground, unless I don't have any choice. If there's no trees, I'm not going to have much of a choice. Go to a hotel, go to a campground, but yeah. So it allows me the ability to get in and out of my hammock without getting down on the ground, without getting filthy. And the comfort level that I have with the Safari and the XL, I've never slept so well in the woods, in the wilderness. I've never slept so well. It's like being in a hotel. And the best example is, I'm almost 6 months into this trip, and I've got almost no complaints. The one thing that I have added is a tarp. It comes with a tarp, as you can see. It covers the tent just fine, but I like sitting out in the weather. If it's raining, if it's cold, if it's windy, I like being outdoors. So This is an added thing for me. It's one of my hacks. I've got a handful of hacks that I use on the Safari that make life more comfortable. But as far as sleep goes, I don't think you can do better. You know, I've slept in the 20s. I've slept in the snow, lots of rain, lots of wind, and it's about as comfortable as I've ever slept out in the wilderness. So I just wanted to give you a brief idea of why I feel very importantly that this is the reason for my success for this long extended trip, because I was comfortable. Like I said, I was getting ready a few years back to give up camping altogether because I just hated getting up and down off the ground. Hammocks changed that. I want to give you a brief look at the Haven Safari. The difference between this and the XL, which is the large version of the Haven Hammock Tent, this is much thicker, much sturdier material than the Haven XL and the standard Haven. I say it's more like mil-spec. It's something you might find in the military. It's very thick, very durable, very heavy material, which makes it a little bit bulkier, a little bit heavier, but I like that ability. It buckles in on each corner, and this helps with the wind and all that. Keeps the wind and the rain out, and you can also buckle it in the center here in case the wind gets really bad. You don't want this thing flopping up in here. But on the inside, you got a bug net all the way around, zips all the way out, and you can fold both sides up if it's hot. You want to get the breeze going through there, or just pull the bug net down and just have the breeze coming through the bug net if you've got critters flying around. It's easy to set up. It's very comfortable. They've had some issues with the air pad with some slow leaks, but they're working on that. They've got a new manufacturer for the air pads to prevent that in the future. But this is a different air pad in the Safari than it is in the XL. It's more like a vinyl covering in the XL, and this is more like a suede. It's very comfortable, but they also have a new cover that's coming out for all the XL and the Safari. And another difference here is the lounge strap. If you don't want to lay flat in your hammock, you want to sit up and read, play on your phone, you pull this thing up and it lifts your head up and your back up, so you can, it's kind of like a recliner, but it's really cool, and I'm pretty excited to have a very flexible sleep system that also allows me to be very comfortable when I'm not sleeping. If I want to just kind of lay in here and check out the phone, read a book, do whatever, it's fantastic. I've been in this thing, living in this hammock for the last almost 6 months now, and I'm probably the world record holder. So if you know somebody that's been in their hammock longer than me, drop a comment below. If you're interested in checking these things out, I've got a link below for the Safari, the XL, and the standard Haven if you want to check them out. And otherwise, let me know what you think about laying flat off the ground when you're camping. It's a game changer. And if you're ready to give up tent camping, there's probably a reason. Discomfort. And if you can be comfortable, you can stay out on the road as long as I have, or longer. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment below. This is the joy, one of the many joys of camping in a hammock. And you could do this with any hammock, as far as I know. But yeah, that's been one of the things that's really drawn me to be the advocate for hammocks, because they're so much fun, they're so much more comfortable than being on the ground, that open up so many more opportunities for you to camp. You don't have to find that nice, grassy, bulged hill to put your tent on because you're worried about the flood coming in tomorrow. You don't have to worry about cleaning sticks and rocks and stuff up off the ground. You don't have to drive for miles and miles and miles to find that perfect camp spot.